I have talked to him, not using it.
Yeah, her babies are, like you said, his babies. Teen. Even when he came home, and he was in ICU for a month.
And we're recording.
He was trial and error. They're trying to make these huge ones at a month.
Is he taking my picture?
Yeah, he just said they're recording.
Oh yeah, I'm recording too.
Oh, that beautiful baby.
Jeff, do you need your bag?
Thanks.
Chair. He's got some oil in it, so yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
Take it around, yeah.
yeah, my name's
It's for all
Rebecca.
fields.
Yes.
Fields.
You can do that right here, or switch to the one in there.
There we go. Got it.
You want it.
Now my feet are on the floor.
Tisha, did you bring me chocolate?
Oh, I rated your candy bars. I did, I took 2 peppermints. Just 2.
Tisha, thank you for that cookie last time, it was delicious. Did you make that, or? Slow. Turn me on.
Oops.
Just go ahead and start when you get it up.
Adam, you didn't ride your bike?
I did, I changed it.
Oh, okay.
You're on.
Seriously? Oh, it wasn't him. Oh, I apologize. Wasn't it my?
I was
Seriously, it wasn't even him.
That reminded me to silence mine.
You're always that person in church when you go. You're on.
I call to order the Board of Trustees special meeting for June 27, 2023, and the time is now 6 p.m. Trustee Johnson, would you like to give the invocation?
Sure. Would you like to bow your head with me? Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for the freedoms that we enjoy here in Etna Township. Thank you for the citizens. Thank you for the country we live in. Especially thank you for those who have given their lives and their freedom for our freedom. pray that you be with those loved ones that miss them and that we comfort them. Amen.
Please join me with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Ms. Varian?
Mr. Evans?
Here.
Mr. Johnson?
Here.
Ms. McKee?
Here. I move to adopt the agenda as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yes, this is a special meeting agenda, so it can't be changed. However, I don't understand why Ms. McKee continues to ignore agenda item requests, especially when 2 regular meetings are canceled and 1 special meeting is held in its place. There's a lot of important business that needs to be attended to in this township and is being ignored. The 3 items that I have repeatedly requested and was requested and ignored this time was regarding the West Licking Development Group, CIC, that was allowed to go defunct by John Carlisle and Walter Rogers. Ms. McKee continues to expend exterior or money on outside counsel that wasn't approved by the board. This should be a discussion by the board in public and a decision made. The second was a discussion on the Park Pond wetland. Again, that was ignored. That was ignored for quite a while, and I think we need to have a discussion in open public about it. The third is the continued illegal overriding of video records. It's destruction of public records unlawfully. All 3 here, Mr. Johnson, Ms. McKee, and Ms. Hanson, are aware of this and are letting this happen. This is inappropriate beyond belief. As it stands, records from 10/23 of 2022 to March 1st have been illegally allowed to be overwritten and destroyed, and nothing was done with it. Why? We need to discuss that. We need to fix it. It's our responsibility to adhere to Ohio law, and I would expect better of elected members and members of the bar. Why there's no working together on agenda items, it's just continuing to be that Ms. McKee wants to control everything and won't let anything on the agenda. When I ask the administrator about items on the agenda, she says, I have nothing to do with the agenda. And that's just inappropriate. Because when you have an administrator is supposed to work with the entire board on the agenda items and make the agenda. So why that's not being done, I know why, but it's improper and it needs to stop. Thank you.
Roll call, Ms. Varian?
Mr. Evans?
No.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. I move to adopt the minutes for June 6, 2023, June 13, 2023 meetings as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Again, as usual, we get these right before the meeting. Got these for the 2 meetings yesterday. For meetings.
I sent them before I went on vacation like 2 weeks ago, Mr. Evans.
Ms. Brown.
No, Miss Brown, me. Tell the truth.
This-
I sent those out before I went on
These
vacation.
meetings, Ms. Brown, this is my time.
Well, tell
These
the truth.
meetings are for 2 and 3 weeks ago. There's no reason that these should be so delayed.
I sent them out right after they were done. Right after
Aside-
the meeting.
Aside from that, the accuracy of these minutes do not properly reflect the board's actions here. I mean, if you look at just the discussion on OPWC, how the past administration did not follow through with that after they lost the election, how last year they blocked it, and we're missing out on funds. So
We need to stick to the actual, we're talking about move to adopt the minutes, Mr. Evans. This is special.
and we're talking about the minutes. The OPWC in here if you've reviewed these minutes,
Again,
Are in
Mr. Evans, please stay on topic. I'm gonna ask you.
the OPWC discussion is within the minutes.
Again, Mr. Evans, I ask you again to stay on topic.
They're within the minutes, but
Yes, ma'am.
I sent those out
I know you
prior,
did.
like 2 weeks
Yes,
ago,
you
and
did.
he did not ask for any revisions to the minutes. He
Nope.
did not submit any changes to the minutes. None.
So right now we all got them, and all of a sudden now today you're asking for some revisions to the minutes. You didn't say anything about it, Mr. Evans. Roll call, Ms. Varian?
Mr. Evans?
no.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. Thank you. We're going to move over to public comments, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes, and it has to be pertaining to the agenda item. Since this is a special meeting, please come up to the podium, state your first, last name, and your address for the record.
Gary Burkholder, 254 Trail East. For over 8 months, we've tried to get the solar and wind exclusionary zone resolution on the agenda, and we finally now have it on the agenda. So I would ask that the Board of Trustees pass Resolution 23-06-27-0, which deals with the exclusionary zones. We had a very informative work session on this. I think there were a lot of great points made regarding why this is needed to protect the quality of life within the township, but also so that we develop the remaining ground that we have at the highest level with the most positive benefit to the township. And I want to remind everyone that this is really the first step. This resolution then allows it to go to the county commissioners, the Board of County Commissioners, who then will have a number of hearings and processes to deal with the issue of solar and wind within the township. The second item I have that I guess I would request, since we haven't had the report from the township administrator yet, but it is on the agenda, is where do we stand with the compliance issues which have been going on for really 2 years, but the violation from the county was on August 1st of last year, so I'd like an update on that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there another?
Letitia McIntyre, 53rd Avenue Southwest. First of all, my church would like to thank you all for letting us have our event in the park this weekend. It went very well. Wish more of you were able to come, but it's okay. Also, it's not necessarily with anything on the agenda, but I do have something to say, and I hope it's okay, and no one gets offended,
Well,
because I'm very nervous.
yeah, since it's a special meeting, it has to be on the topic of what's on the agenda.
Okay, so I'll make it that way. With the solar thing, I understand that, he said that it's finally been on the agenda, but I have seen it
Yes, ma'am.
there before.
Yes,
And I know we've been talking about that in our board.
Okay.
And I know if we all work together and we all agree and we try our best and do what's best for the township, everyone is going to succeed. I guess that's my point. Also, I think there was one more thing. Oh, about the movie night.
Yes, ma'am.
I was wondering if it would be appropriate to ask if I could set up a table to invite.
Well, I can't, well, actually, I can't have that discussion with you tonight because of the,
Okay, I'm
it's
sorry.
not on the agenda.
Probably outside.
I can talk out, yeah.
Outside of it.
Yes, ma'am.
That's
Please.
the issue with special meetings.
It's a
Yes,
special meeting, so I can
I
talk
guess
with you
my
outside of the meeting.
yes, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I guess my
No.
point is, about all the agenda issues, especially the solar one.
Yes, ma'am.
If we all try to work together,
Yes.
see eye to eye, and everybody work for the good of the township, I think we will all do well together.
Been trying.
Thank you. Is there anybody else?
Judy Kaffmeyer, 29 Roman Court. On June 6th, 2023, the township trustees were presented with lots of information about how solar farms might impact our Etna Township community. The packet that Mr. Evans compiled demonstrated facts from both sides of this issue, and I certainly hope that Mr. Johnson was adequately educated, as he had said that he wanted to be from the dispatch article, on how this expansive energy industry will affect the lives of Etna Township citizens today and in the future. I presented a list of 12 facts concerning solar and wind energy projects using information from several resources, including the Ohio Power Siting Board, which previously had exclusive authority over these projects, and the Solar Energy Industries Association, as well as referencing Senate Bill 52, which gave county commissioners and township trustees the power to decide what best suits the needs and future development of individual communities. We also heard from Representative Kevin Miller, who voted in favor of Senate Bill 52 because of its local authority, meaning Etna Township speaks for Etna Township. Thank you, Representative Miller. Trustees, you are now being challenged and authorized to represent all of the citizens of Etna Township. Residents voted with their recent surveys. Now it's up to you to represent us.
Thank you.
John Kennard, 10785 Palmer Road. Dealing with the solar panels, the dog and pony show we had a while back here. Had the pros and cons. I don't know which one was the pro, which one was the con, but the representatives from the state gave factual information and details. The disgruntled resident from the north talked about farmers and topsoil being removed and tile being broke. And when I asked her a question if she was a government representative, she was just a resident of that community up there, and evidently it's close to where it's being done. Had no real factual backing. So, you know, the statement of it's up to the trustees to represent all the residents of Etna Township. I don't think there was a real strong representation of the for or against. So how do you decide? Everybody talks about country, our country environment. Most of the people in here live in housing developments with sidewalks and curbs and neighbors side by side, back and forth. Their farthest neighbors across the street. So that's not country. I explained what country looks like last time I spoke, and if you think that country is, you know, having a neighbor on your left and right, front and back, that's not country.
Thank you. Additional comments, please?
Hi, I'm Kelly, I live at 8990 Smoke Road. Sort of address a couple of things. The solar thing. There was a lot of information presented at the last meeting that wasn't necessarily talked about. There's a lot of material handed out, so I have to read through all that. I don't know, I just wanted to give my 2 cents. I don't know that we want to have solar farms that are over 300 acres, just because it ties up a lot of land. And it, you know, we're trying to expand, we're trying to grow. Those will be tied up for years to come. You know, so we should probably be in exclusionary zone. We want to, you know, that way we can decide, for the smaller farms, we can decide what, in the zoning, what we want it to look like. We want to allow them all, what we do, how much frontage, that kind of thing. That's controlled here. The bigger ones, we don't have any control over. So I think with a growing district like ours, I don't think that's a good idea to allow larger ones. I do get the farm thing. Like as a kid, we had to sell our dairy farm, and you know, my dad didn't have a lot of options. You know, he had to sell it to somebody. He wasn't knew what he was going to do with it. The solar panel wasn't an option then either. And we never expected it to be. You know, we never expected anything like that. It was a farm. We always wanted it to be a farm. But I get it. But we want to be able to control the zoning for the small solar here, I think. As far as the agenda stuff goes, I just wanted to propose. I know that's the agenda is part of the agenda, so I wanted to propose that was just an option. If that's a continuing issue where not all trustees can get things on the agenda, perhaps we should adopt something where each of them can have at least one thing they want on the agenda each month, or each meeting, just one. That way it can at least be discussed. If nothing's voted on, that's fine. But I think we voted for all of you, so we want all of you to represent us. So I think it would be a good idea to at least have one thing from each trustee they want on the agenda. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Additional comments from the? Okay, I'll move on over to, I'll turn the meeting over to our new administrator, Ms. Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Richard Jarrett, 21 Sedgecourt. I was here at the last meeting when this issue was brought up about solar.
Yes, sir.
And that was the first time I heard about it, and the information shared by all the speakers was very informative. I shared this issue with my wife and my fellow neighbors, and in the conversation, I figure it's important for me to make sure it's clearly understood. I hear a lot of people supporting it. I'm not so keen on the idea, primarily because it's not been fully discussed, and the neighbors are not aware of what's coming. And I think the entire neighborhood is going to be shocked to find out that we're having an exclusionary zone for wind and solar farm. It's a 30 and 40-year commitment that the township is making. And I think we need to be careful and be more deliberate in the decision making regarding an event that's going to impact not just the township, but everybody who lives in it 30 to 40 years out. The haste of this making decision is frightening because other members of the community have not voiced their opinion regarding this matter. And it's crucial that we make everybody talk about working together as a group. I think everybody needs to be here to be actively involved with such a decision, from my perspective. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Is there any additional public comments? Okay, we'll just go ahead and move over to our administrator, Ms. Nita Hanson, for her report.
Good evening, everyone. I wanted to start by mentioning the special election that is scheduled for August the 8th for voters to decide State Issue 1. State Issue 1 seeks to change the method by which to amend the Ohio Constitution by raising the voter threshold from 50% to 60% and increase the number of counties' ballot signatures for citizen initiatives from 44 counties to all 88 counties. So it's an important issue for everyone to be informed about and make their own decision on State Issue 1. But there are some important dates to keep in mind. July 10th is the voter registration deadline for the August 8th special election. So if you're not already registered as a voter, you need to make sure that you register by July 10th. July 11th is the first day of early in-person voting. August 1st, absentee ballot applications must be turned in. And then August 8th, the polls are open from 6:30 a.m. till 7:30 p.m. and absentee ballots are due by close of the polls. The JED and JED-Z boards met on May 26th. At that time, the boards voted to re-engage a CPA firm to assist with audits and prepare quarterly reports. The township requested that the JED-Z reimburse the township for the cost of the speed radar signs, as well as the costs associated with the power washer and related services. The JED-Z received the information well, but is seeking clarification from its counsel about whether the expenses are sufficiently connected with the JED-Z to qualify for reimbursement. Mr. Burkholder kindly spoke in the public comments that the board seemed to be changing its prior policy related to what are qualified reimbursements. The next meeting of those boards is scheduled for August 25th, and I'll give you a report after that meeting. Governments and private developers sometimes work together through a public-private partnership called a new community authority. You might have heard of it referred to as an NCA, to accomplish development or redevelopment projects. The new community authority for Etna Township met on May 25th. At that meeting, the board was elected for 2023, the chair, Brian Davis, vice chair, P. Ron Sabatino, secretary, Kip Wallers, treasurer, Alexis Fitzsimmons. The NCA will be sending letters to the member tax abated properties and file with the auditor if there are any unpaid invoices. Our township is well served by the Licking County Sheriff's Department. The sheriff has provided statistics for the service to the township in 2022. The total responses for 2022 was 45,478, which I thought was an amazing number. Each month, the number of calls ranged from 3,500 to 3,700, with August being the highest month of 4,800. So I thought that was interesting, how the heat maybe affects what's happening. Etna has been the highest ranking township for number of calls since 2017, followed by Union Township, Newark City, and Licking Township. That was for 2022. As relates to our park, we've had meetings with the design engineer and Licking County Parks to generally discuss amenities that may be of interest to the community that are not already provided by nearby parks. We're also gathering names of residents interested in serving on a committee. We've had a number of people express interest. We look forward to including a broad scope of community advocates, including families with special needs, families with young children, young adults, older adults, representatives from our schools, and other stakeholders. So if you're interested in serving on the committee but have not yet reached out, please do so. We had a good meeting with U.S. Field and Wildlife at the wetland on Smoke Road, which is part of our larger park system. The suggestion was to build up the low bank that is closest to our neighbor to the north and plant trees and other native plants around the circumference of the area. Those trees and plants were available free of charge from Licking Soil and Water and have been planted. Unless the overall park plan includes other changes to this area, or unless we are notified of any new or continuing issues, there are no other plans for remediation at this time. No action is required by the board since the prior action was specifically dependent on approval from Soil and Water. As it relates to Skinnell, the construction plans for the ditch relocation are approvable now and are being circulated for signature. The county is monitoring closely to keep Skinnell working on the required remediation efforts. In addition, the township is aware of issues with tall grass along Tollgate Road. Skinnell has been notified that violations will be issued if the grass is not mowed before Thursday. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question about your report, Ms. Hanson. I had requested a copy of that prior to this meeting and it was withheld. Is there a reason you're not providing that to the board? It's obviously a written document, well prepared.
We have discussed on a number of occasions that these are my notes. I know that you don't care for the fact that my notes are prepared in paragraph form, but these are my notes. My report is an oral report. It is not a written report. The report has never been shared with anyone, and as such, they are my notes.
But why wouldn't you share that with the board so that we could properly prepare with this meeting?
I have not, as I have told you I would do in the past, if there are issues that I'm asking the board to take action on, I'll make sure that you know that ahead of time. Otherwise, it's simply a report of activity.
Right, but that's not the question. A board member, myself, has asked you for a copy of this. I would think there would be nothing wrong with saying, here's what I'm going to discuss, so you can prepare if you have any questions, and that's being refused, just as prior I had asked for the applications for road crew and they were refused. we have to be transparent with the public and the board.
I'm always happy to speak to you at any time. You never call me, you email me and I respond. My notes are my notes, and as you know, my notes are not available for dissemination, and so that's why they are not prepared. They're not provided to you in advance. I'm happy to ever pick up the phone and have you talk to me about anything that might be discussed.
I prefer written communication, and there's nothing that would stop you from providing that if you want to be transparent, and I don't understand why.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Let's move on. We're going to go ahead and move over. We don't have any new business tonight, so we'll go ahead and move over to the old business, which is a solar and wind farm. So I'll turn this meeting over to Mr. Evans.
Yes, I'd like to move to approve Resolution 230627-01, the resolution adopting the exclusionary resolution requesting of the county trustees to include the unincorporated area of Etna Township as an exclusionary zone. Is there a second for discussion?
I'll second for discussion.
Okay.
I would like to be clear that as a trustee, I don't want to interfere with individuals' land. That's not my job as a trustee. I feel that if we did a referendum to take it to the ballot to see what the residents in Etna Township would like to have in this community, not for me as a trustee to tell you what you can put in your yard and what you can't. Furthermore, when we talk about the future of this township, as you know, we have several warehouses here. In the future, and this could happen, they may want to put solar panels on top of the warehouses. Not saying it's going to happen, but it could happen. I personally, because this is, at one time I was against it, and I'm not saying I'm not against it. I mean, because that's my personal opinion on the matter. But this is not personal for me. This is individuals with land. And I don't want to intrude on what somebody wants to put in there on their property. So I personally think that it should be a referendum, and I think that the residents should take it to the ballot and decide what they want in this community. I, as a trustee, don't feel that I should be telling you what you should put in your backyard or your farmland. I don't feel that's my job. So that's where I'm going with this right now. So I just wanted to make that clear. Back to one of the residents that spoke, Richard, am I correct there? Thank you. He made it clear. There's some residents here that don't know about this is solar wind, that we're actually bringing it to the community and have the open discussion. So I would like to make sure the residents in Etna are fully aware of what's going on before I make a decision. So that's where I stand. Anybody else?
Robert's rules is the one that makes it as the last to speak. So.
Right. My personal opinion of this is what I think. And as far as the solar, that's one thing. The wind is another. I don't think we need big, huge wind turbines sticking up all over Etna Township. I'm all for making an exclusionary zone for the wind farm. Solar, on the other hand, I believe we are missing the boat if we don't allow solar in the township. It's an excellent way to recoup some of the stuff that would happen if one of the, say, Amazon left. There's a huge parking lot, there's a huge building, then it comes and rents it, and put a solar farm in there. It's an exclusionary zone here, we can't do that. So I think there's a possibility of trapping us down the line with a vacant warehouse district. A possibility. Also, people don't want warehouses on the farms, they don't want anything. Solars aren't that high off the ground, They can be easily hidden, they can run on farmland, tree line around it, you would never know they're there. And it gives the farmers a good way to use their land. They're harvesting the sunlight, which is the same thing they do when they grow crops, they harvest the sunlight. So my opinion is I would be for the solar farms being allowed in the township. Wind farms, no.
All right, it's astounding the lack of due diligence here. We talk about information and that. No one from this township besides myself talked to Dale Arnold of the Farm Bureau as recommended by Christy Hawthorne. No one but I. Searching for information. You say you want to make an intelligent decision. You didn't even ask. And our consultant that you, other two board members hired, indicated we should have the exclusionary zone. It's not the best use. It's in a more dense area. There's better uses. Everything says we should, especially talking to Dale Arnold. He is a wealth of information on this. He's given a talk tomorrow in Wayne County trustee organization about this. And there's two different distinctions, industrial and community. When Ms. McKee was talking about, well, we shouldn't do this because a warehouse can put it on the top, that's community. That's under 50 megawatts. What we're talking about are 300-acre plus developments. So the misinformation on this board and the lack of willingness to get that information is astounding. There's nothing stopping the solar on warehouses. And Ms. McKee to say that as a board member, she doesn't want anything to do with telling anybody what to do with their land. I guess we're going to abolish the zoning commission and our zoning laws. And it's going to be just a free-for-all because that's what it is. There's regulations in place, and there's always a fine balance between property rights and the community and zoning. And this is just not, solar is not a good fit for this area. And Dale Arnold actually indicated, if you would have talked to him, I spoke to him for about an hour, and he's willing to come in here and talk to the board on the community stuff. The community stuff is even more of an area that we need to be prepared for because we're not. There's individual farmers that have been contacted by 3 to 11 developers. And if they push this stuff through before we have our zoning changes implemented, we've got the skeleton document from Brocious and Griggs from the OTA, and he's got a lot of other information that could be put forth in it, but I don't understand why I am the only one on this board pushing to address this proactively, not reactively. We've got the residential hotel apartments in there because it wasn't proactively addressed. After the fact, scrambled and took it out of the zoning, but we should be smart enough to be proactive. And Dale Arnold spoke to the commissioners and said, it's good because they can change it in the future. But what this would do is send the industry a signal that we take this seriously, and this isn't the end of it. I mean, this discussion went out to all the residents on the email list. We've discussed this numerous times, and what all this is doing is requesting the commissioners to start the public hearing process. So at the county, it'll be a huge public hearing. They'll have more input. You can have, and we can disseminate more information, but this is requesting the commissioners so we control our future. If not, we're just going to have a sea of solar. And as Dale Arnold, if you two would have talked to him, indicated there's a lot of things to be cautious about and concerned about. And I really wish you two would have done your due diligence.
Okay, Mr. Evans, your 3 minutes is up.
Are we breaking the rule that we only speak once?
No, I just said your 3 minutes are up. Where are you going? Where are you going with this? Thank you. I would entertain a motion to table it so we can get more information out there. Just like he said, there's additional information out there that we need to get, we need to be more aware of.
So for the record, are you making a motion to table it?
I'm making a motion to table it.
I'll second for discussion.
Discussion, Mr.
No.
My discussion on tabling for more discussion and more information is this board neglected to get information in the first place. So what more information are you gonna not get? I mean, Christy Hawthorne, I thank her for the enormous amount of information she provided, the videos. Did the board watch the videos she provided? I did. It was the 2019 MORPSI on the solar farm. She provided the contacts for people that we should talk to, and I did.
That's
This
great.
board, I'm still
That's great.
speaking. And so I don't think the board is gonna look for more information, it's just delay. It's gonna go in the black hole, as our resident coined it, the black hole of issues where it's not brought up or delayed. We have the information. Have you talked to Jim Leonard? Have you talked to anybody? Have you reached out to the industry officials? This is all about due diligence. We got in trouble with the park bond because of lack of due diligence. This board is elected to make the tough decisions, and Dale Arnold indicated these are tough decisions, but we need to protect our township. And he's dealt for over 40 years in this industry, and I'm just shocked that nobody from this township spoke to him besides
Okay,
myself.
so you spoke to him, Mr. Evans. That's wonderful to hear. So let us get our opportunity to have that same conversation with Mr. Arnold.
Since the 6th.
Yes, ma'am.
As I understand it, the commissioners have indicated that this resolution would be a request to the commissioners, but the commissioners have already indicated that they have no intention of taking any action related to a township request for exclusionary zone unless or until a project would be brought to them. So is the resolution premature, or, I mean, I hate to say that it's a nullity, but if there's a resolution that the commissioners will not act on, it feels like that it might at least be premature.
Right.
No.
Well, Mr. Evans, yes, I had that conversation with the commissioner's office, just what day was that last, I think it was Monday, actually.
It's not what the report, they said the reporter.
Again, Mr. Evans.
And we have to dictate our future, not the commissioners.
No, that is correct.
But
That
the
is correct.
commissioners are the ones
But they will
to
be
act.
acting.
We have to ask, and then we can deal with it.
So
we should have the courage to make a decision.
I have a courage to make a decision to table it, to get more information, and then to, yes, that's my motion on the floor. This roll call?
Mr. Evans?
No.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Do we have to go back and vote on the original motion?
No, because it's tabled.
I would recommend that we table the appropriation as presented today in our packet to amend the 2023 appropriation. I don't feel comfortable.
Or is that a motion or discussion?
Discussion.
You can do that, but then the Taylor Road loan payment will be late.
I'm sorry?
The Taylor Road loan payment will not make it on time.
It won't make it on time?
Yeah, the Taylor Road the payment for the loan that we did not know about because of the certificate of transition that was falsely attested to and not provided to us, and attested to by Walter Rogers and Jeff Johnson.
Okay, can we just?
We need to start doing what's right.
That's Mr. Evans, that's enough.
We need to pass this
Mr.
to
Evans.
make an on-time payment.
Point of order, Mr. Evans, please. Mrs. Berry is having a discussion, please.
Okay, so I worked with both the CPA and the auditor on this because
all we are doing is moving from a capital projects account where we had the Taylor Road money sitting,
Numbers that you're looking at,
$235,000.
235,000.
And we're moving it to a debt service account so that I can make the loan payment.
Okay, so what are those account numbers? Do you have them right off here, or are they on that sheet that you had? Or?
They're on here. And they're also on something I emailed you prior to the meeting.
Well, I had one that had other things on it that didn't, numbers that I didn't see in our system, which also a question, but this might match if I have it. Taylor Road improvements, is it?
Actually, it's $225,634. It says on the amendment right
this
here.
is right.
That's it. I have it there too, yes.
Okay.
But it's also on this, the certificate to amend the appropriations resolution.
So,
Yeah, but this,
what's that?
I'm looking for this one. It doesn't jive with that she just said.
One of the numbers didn't work out.
634.62. Yeah, it's not over here.
This was all provided in email.
Here it is.
Simple
It's okay.
appropriation.
You know what, Mr. Evans, that's another reason why I would like to table this, because I'm not rushing things through. This is money for the township. So.
But the problem is I didn't find, when did we create that account? Did we create that account this year sometime?
What account?
The 4901-9.
That's always been there. That's a capital projects fund that has always been there.
I don't see it on the budget.
Can I just talk about what we're trying to do?
I understand, I'm just wondering where the timers don't match up, that's why I was asking.
The 4901 capital projects?
This is what we sent to the county. I have what we sent to the county for appropriations for this year, and don't see that number on there, so if you could help me.
I can forward you that, it's at the very bottom.
Isn't what goes to the county top level in that every account number?
See, we sent this, and I got this capital outlay project, which is 4901. Then I've got that 910, I don't know where the 910 came from.
It's because it's related to the Taylor Road projects. That account number was created well before me when we got Taylor Road money in. Or when we got the Taylor Road money in.
But it's not on here though.
It's not on there because this is April 2023. So when the money came in, I think we created a new account, that resolution or motion to add that in there. I don't know. But the CPA and I have been working on it because we need to move the money out of the Taylor Road account into a debt payment account so that we can pay.
Oh, yeah, that makes total sense to me. I understand. I just want to know where these accountants, because usually the accountants match.
They're sub-accounts of the 4901.
And Ms. Varian, you need that to be able to make that payment on time. It's July 1st. And we do not have another meeting before that. So we must make these changes in other.
That's not true, Mr. Evans. You do a special meeting. I have the appropriation budget that came in from Brad that was presented to the county back on the 10th of January, and I was comparing it to that.
Did you look at the one I sent you this afternoon?
I mean, this is recommended by our CPA firm. This is to pay a debt from one account to a debt service. It's pretty basic.
Actually, I've already talked to Brad, and this is what he sent me as the certificate of estimated resources changing. That this will go to the auditor, the prosecutor, and the treasurer.
You mean the auditor, you mean Brad, and the county, the certificate?
Yeah, this is the certificate that he agreed to when I talked to him about what we were doing.
I just talked to him yesterday,
And what did he say?
and I have those documents here.
And what did Brad say?
And I just got his latest document, so, again, I don't feel that I'm ready to move on this appropriation, so I'm going to make a recommendation that we table and have a special meeting until I can get a handle on this.
So you've spoken to everybody, you still can't understand or get the information, and you want to have a special meeting to inconvenience not only our fiscal officer, but others.
She can speak for herself, Mr. Evans. That's your problem. You try to belittle everybody, and you talk over everybody, and you try to speak for her.
No, I support people doing the right thing.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So for the record, are you moving the table?
I'm moving to
She already
table.
did.
I know, but you kept talking. She needs a second.
Is there a second?
I had already seconded for discussion. I don't understand why we can't keep this straight.
Again?
Mr. Evans, she just now made the
I
motion.
made
You
the
did
motion.
not second.
I mean, this is basic accounting, paying a bill on
I
time.
don't know what they're doing because he keeps talking. Rosalind, did you get a second?
Not Jeff. I think Jeff's looking over his, Trustee Johnson's looking over some documents, so.
I still can't find that. Those account numbers are all, that's the only thing I
The
can't find.
full
on
account
anywhere.
numbers are on something that I sent Rosalind, and I didn't send you the entire budget all over again. They have, the major fund level is right here on all of it. We're not changing any money, we're basically transferring it from one account to another account. And we're doing one correction on the special revenue.
Your other option you could do is recess, and then you guys can talk to Julie and then do it back up. Jeff is.
Oh, that's awesome. I don't know.
That would help them.
I'm looking for either one of these account, if you show where that account number, that account number shows up, I have no problem with that. I don't see whether you want to show up. I'm just making it, because I'm not seeing accounts.
Well, actually, they're not at the top because that's.
Because I don't see this
So you have
account.
both pages.
And I don't see this account. I see this right here. Well, whatever.
So would that die for lack of second?
And that is,
I'm looking.
we're not actually changing it, we're just changing these two numbers.
Because it's listed here under amendment.
I know, but it's not, and I matched it to yours, but he said here. It has to do with capital projects, because of the agency. Yeah, we put it in, we took it out, we got 50,000.
We paid it all.
Yes.
That makes sense. I mean, that makes sense.
But the money in the dairy fund has to move, so that I can pay for it. That's all she would have.
3901,
It's the debt service.
which is, saying 901,
It probably wasn't on the original because we didn't know about it until we had.
Yeah, do we create that or we don't? That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm gonna do.
I'd have to go back to the minutes.
You guys want to recess? You want to recess?
You can find it real quick or not?
They're already here.
Wait, let me see that one. Where that page come from?
See right here, 4901. Debt, the 629.
4901.
390.
4901.
I'm going to do a 5-minute recess. The time is now.
So, when we get down to this one.
You have to vote for a recess, you can't just decree one.
Can you just
Yeah.
do those without our approval on that?
On the big.
It makes a motion to do a 5-minute recess.
You guys think you need a recess? Is that, okay. I would like to make a motion to do a 5-minute recess.
I'll second.
Roll call. Sorry.
Mr. Evans, yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Rosalind?
Yes. Okay,
So-
time,
Well, I'm looking
6:49.
for- You created these accounts, what you're saying. Oh,
These
okay.
are normal accounts that have been there. They may not have had anything in them, they may not have. But it was the CPA as part of the.
It's amazing, any decision they make, no discussion, no information, no, but anybody else.
What's your solution?
Because we already had
Them to work together, them to work together properly.
That's the first thing I do is when I.
No, it's not perfect, it's sharing of transparency with information, records, working together with agendas, that Ms. McKee told the reporter that the administrator was gonna do, which is not.
Okay.
To go back and see what it was.
And I need you to read.
I can't. I was gonna call you. No, but that money was sitting here. This was the money that was sitting here with the harvest.
Right. So we're going back to the budget back in 2020.
And it doesn't matter, because you get money in.
Well, it's tricky. The first one was yeah, they talked about running the line.
Yeah. The other thing is $200,000 correction, because there should have been has to do with.
That was the second.
Oh, thank you, yeah.
Money out of the account. Because I'm not seeing his account number, so. So right now, that's the same account, that's the same account for this one. That is that account.
You have a dry
It's dry.
Air's in the building, it's like that.
So maybe you're saying.
It's now, time is now 6:55.
For this right here. Does this have its top of the
You're back on. No, this is.
Oh, that's all I want. All right.
You're saying cannot recess.
Okay, we're gonna come back out of recess. The time is 6:56.
So right now, I don't get anything on the floor because they died about it.
Yep.
So what's up there now?
So we're back to, the resolution. Either we can move it to, amend it. And then, yeah.
Can I clarify that
Yeah, that's what,
this amending thing, we're only doing from the 4901 capital projects to the 3901 debt service payment, for a total of 225,634.
Correct.
62 cents, correct?
wait,
That
4901, the capital, and what's the other one?
The other one is on the special revenue, there's a $200,000 correction. Because the total beginning balance is $467.
272, the one that the coronavirus release. And before you guys had it under sheriff, did you have it under sheriff some kind of way, or was it at one time?
How it was?
Under the sheriff,
Under the sheriff?
I think so.
I think what she's getting at is, did you use it for the sheriff?
Yeah, maybe in 2022. But the beginning balance was $467 when we came into 2023. So it should, we're just correcting it.
Did you do a resolution on it, or was that a resolution that we
We
had?
should have a resolution from Julie, I think it's
This is the resolution.
Or this is a motion sheet here.
This is the resolution. It says resolution at the top.
2272.
Third line resolution number to amend the 2023 appropriations.
Oh, it is, okay, it says motion for adoption, okay. All right. Motion.
What's the 2901 miscellaneous special revenue?
That's the correction of the $200,000. Oh, no, that, I emailed you what that was.
You what?
I emailed you what that was.
What is it?
Let's see. It was. I printed out the journals. Those were in and out payments, I believe.
4. So then we did a in and out payment for.
I think my memory was wrong at 20,000. let's see. The 71,000 is the carry forward of that account, and it's just the unencumbered balance at the beginning of the year. There hasn't been anything in it in 2023.
Motion. Okay, I'm gonna make a motion to table this
Did you,
amended 2023 appropriation
Sorry, it wasn't Park Pike Street.
as presented. Is there a second?
wasn't there already a motion to table?
No, it was not. It died for a lack, so
So you can't make another motion on the same,
yes.
Rosalind, the 71,000 was in part from Pike Street. And I sent you a spreadsheet showing the ins and outs. There were draws for the development plan of 100,000 and management fees for 8,800. And I attached those documents. It can be used for many projects.
there's been a flurry of emails to you with a lot of information.
Is there a second?
What, tables?
The table,
When does this due by?
July 1st, which we will default on an OPWC.
And that's Saturday.
loan.
okay.
We need to pass this.
I'm comfortable passing where she's moving the capital projects to the debt service line. To pay that bill.
And the special revenue of 200,000 is just a correction. We're increasing it by to 467,000.
So for the record, is that value will lack a second?
Because it sounds like,
Jeff, would you like to make a motion?
Do I need a motion or what I need on this thing?
You move to pass the resolution as being amended, and then state your amendments.
Being amended to what, though? I could just make a motion that we need a motion on this or resolution?
She's asking for a resolution, that's why it's.
So I need a
prepared that way.
resolution,
So
but I don't have any
Make a
documentation.
motion to pass the resolution.
Pass it, but I'm gonna go move it to transfer funds from one to the other.
That's not, it's not a transfer, that's not a different thing she's asking for. She's asking you for a resolution for appropriations. The transfer is later, it's next motion.
There are other regular transfers that I need to do that are separate from this. This basically is just moving, which is sort of a transfer from one account to another account. That's all this is, and one correction that Brad and I talked about.
And this has been reviewed by Brad at the county, Brad Cottrell, and our CPAs.
So,
I don't understand why there's any controversy about any of it.
And for this account, well,
Because there's no spending that's affected by this. This just allows the spending.
this is specifically from the auditor. This is what we will get once it's passed, and this is what he agreed to, which matches this. So this is 11,000. This is
yeah.
This is 3,400. This is 3,400. There's nothing odd about it. It's just that I need to move money to pay the loans. And then he and I, something happened with the beginning balance of the new rescue fund. And it was I only have it in 267 and it needed to be 467. So that's all I'm doing.
So there was an error in it off of this, is what you're saying?
Somehow between him and I pushed it in 467. I think it was a closed purchase order. But I kept open and closed it in January, so then my balance showed 267. That's all I'm doing.
and the 2901 is what? The $71,441.64.
That is in part Pike Street
Well,
and miscellaneous other items, because that miscellaneous special revenue is a fund that, but we're not touching that.
And this appropriations doesn't actually spend the money, it just puts it in that account category.
We're not doing anything.
We still have to vote to spend any money.
What she wants us to change the things that are on here. So she's gonna fix this one.
What's
Here.
I'm looking at what you presented to Brad. and it didn't have anything under the 2901 special revenue statement.
Well, he has it
310.
right here on his sheet that he sent me, that from 1/1.
I don't see that, because that's not what he sent me, Jim. He sent me a document yesterday, and I don't see it. It's not there.
It's on his sheet if you'd like to see it.
But we're talking about the,
He's just talking about 2901, but we're not doing anything with 2901.
It's not there. It's not there. That's what he sent me.
It might have been zero because it's an unencumbered balance, which came through, which on the spreadsheet, I didn't.
Mr. Johnson, can you just move forward? The CPA firm reviewed it and approved it. The county reviewed it and approved it. The fiscal officer.
This is what he sent me yesterday, because I called his office and I had a conversation with him. And that's not on it. That 2901 is not on it. This is his report. This is what you filed with him for your certificate. And it's not on here.
It was an unencumbered balance that carried forward. It looks like you can do this.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Well, we're not doing anything with this, and he even has it here on his own certificate. So, but we're not doing anything with that account with this whole thing.
$1,400 for 1.4 million just showed up as income.
I'm sorry?
1.4 just got put in there.
That's a capital project, and I questioned him about that too, and he said they just carry it, to not worry about it, because it's a goofy kind of account. So
No,
we're not doing anything with the 1.4.
Couldn't find anything on that, on the 2401 either. For that $108,017.95 under special assessments.
Julie, I know the county has to approve these appropriations, and they approve that. So if we make only partial changes, is it not going to be approved? Because they're supposed to reflect what's needed, what's actually true. So if you only change part of it, it's not a true certificate, right?
I can take off the 200,000, but the 200,000 is just a correction. It's nothing
Right.
has to be done tonight.
I think it should be passed as is, but
The loan has to be approved, or we're in default on a public works.
You don't have a mercy, nothing's on the floor.
Okay.
That's why, that's small. I don't believe there's.
so what part do you absolutely?
I think we know the two shares of value.
Yeah, but he was right.
Or 225, 634 of the debt service account from the capital projects.
They're just not currently in motion on the floor. That's what we
Okay.
were discussing.
And that's exactly what you need right now.
Motion, but then you stopped.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2306-2702. Well, I had a one for the other one for the solar.
What do we do with that?
Right, but the solar didn't pass, so you're now on a one still.
So when you record that it wasn't, you're going to have the same number, right?
Because the solar issue got tabled, so there's no resolution number for that.
All right, 01, to amend the 2023 appropriations as presented, removing everything except in the top fund accounts, the debt service, which $225,634.62, and the amendment to the fund account 3901 debt service for $225,634.62. And do I need that account number for the Taylor Road? With the specific Taylor Road, do you need that? No, okay, into the debt service. And removing everything else.
How are you doing, not Ms. Barron?
She can't make a motion.
Oh, I mean, as far as the
Mark is making a motion, now he needs a second.
Okay, so I'll second, clarify, you're moving from 4901 account, capital projects, you're moving that 225,000 to the 3901 account, which are the debt service.
Correct.
Yes.
And that's it, we can deal with the other stuff later.
I'm fine with that part of it.
All right, I'd like to call the question.
Call for the question.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
No.
And again, on the next one, I have your sheet for the, if you don't wanna read it all, give you as presented by
Right,
the
like the last
last
one, and we're gonna take the last one off. Jeff and I talked about that, but we're gonna take the last one on the transfer sheet off.
Which one is that?
Yeah.
The what?
It with this.
What are you taking off?
Oh, the Taylor Road, because you just did it with this?
Okay.
This one comes off of her transfer request because
Right.
you did it like.
275,
Yes.
is that 225, 63, 634, 62? Okay.
Now,
All right, so I move to transfer funds as presented, removing the 225, 634.62 from the list presented.
Is there a second?
is that for,
So that leaves dental, vision, life, and healthcare reimbursement. That's the sheet we're looking at.
easier, right?
Yep, removing the bottom for miscellaneous capital projects, miscellaneous debt service.
And you asked for approval of the top four then?
The top four, the dental, vision, life, and healthcare reimbursement.
He just needs a second.
I'll second. Discussion? Mr. Evans? Mr.
Somebody's coming out of salaries for the paving road crew.
It's just coming out of an other salaries account to transfer for benefits, because I only did just the first 6 months of the year at the beginning. So now we're just transferring money from within the roads department to the specific dental vision line accounts.
I see that there's a healthcare reimbursement.
And healthcare reimbursement, yes.
That's for the two new guys, HSAs.
Well, you're putting in the healthcare reimbursement, that's different than HSA, isn't it, or not?
No, that's not reimbursement for health savings.
For Darren Norman and John Foster.
Those have not been deposited in their accounts yet? Or have they?
Another Jackson.
Okay.
Should I have that
Do
in?
you not want to give them to them?
I have.
I know, I'm just saying, do you not want me to be able to give them to them?
We need to pass this to be able to give it to them.
It's just moving money within the roads account.
Right.
Can we get, is it possible to get a listing of every account that you have out there now for next meeting or something, so I can look at these numbers aren't showing up, that's the problem.
Sure.
I mean, the main number shows up, but all the subs don't show up with it, so if I could get that listing on there, that'd be helpful, because I don't, you just create these accounts, or whether we voted to agree or whatever, that would be very helpful to me in the future, please.
Okay.
I believe there was an offer too last time to give each of us access to the UAN so we can look at all the accounts, pull reports and that. I know you guys declined, but that's still available. It just has to be set up.
Ms. Varian, Mrs. Hanson had asked you for a budget, is that a week or two ago? For the,
To give to the,
audit.
yeah, the
Yeah.
audit.
So is there a reason why she can't get a copy of that?
We're on the funds transfer.
Excuse me, ma'am,
We're not on top.
I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to Ms.
I
Varian.
just haven't had a chance.
Okay.
All
right. Thank you.
You're at roll call.
Okay, roll call, Ms. Varian.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. I move to ratify the payment for the bills as shown on the payment listing.
You're out of order.
Oh, did I skip purchase order? Okay. I move resolution 23062702 to approve the purchase orders as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
I don't know if anybody saw the last second email I sent out, but this also includes the music performer for Friday.
Roll call, Ms. Marion?
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. I move to ratify the payment of the bills as shown on the payment listing. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, Ms. Marion?
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. Announcement of trustee comments are limited to 3 minutes, please. Mr. Evans?
Yes. Regarding the public comments that were made about working together, I've tried numerous times for a year and a half. And you can see, even the parliamentarian that Ms. McKee brought in stated that the agenda should be worked together, a draft should be provided to the board members, and their submissions sought. Not once has that happened. Not once. I did every meeting as president. That's working together. Information's being withheld. I asked for a copy of the park contract, not provided. I was provided one by chance from our fiscal officer today. It's not I that doesn't want to work together. It's the rest of this administration. It's frustrating because the people of this township are suffering. Even on basic things like the solar, due diligence is not being done. Information is not being shared. It's not right. I asked for copies of the administrator's report that they're given. Denied. It's an oral report. It's a document created for this. It's part of a lack of transparency in this township, and that needs to end, both for the benefit of the board, but also the residents. And regarding the exclusionary zones, again, I think people were notified. An email blast went out to everybody, and to say that, people don't have the information, that's why we had these discussions, and we would have future discussions at the county commission. This is about protecting our township by delaying. Our future is not in our hands, but in the developer's hands. I encourage anybody to reach out to Dale Arnold. He's a wealth of information, resident or not. He'll talk to you at the Farm Bureau and explain that there's a lot of pressure and we need to be prepared, and we're not, both at the under 50 and over. And to talk about, I'm not sure if I mentioned the thing Ms. McKee said about solar on Amazon warehouses, that doesn't apply for this exclusionary zone. That's under 50, which would be a separate thing. So I don't understand why we don't have the information fully. I think it's purposeful and just a delay tactic. We should make a decision, and again, to protect this township. Even, again, our consultant that Ms. McKee and Mr. Johnson hired said it's not the best use, and he supports the exclusionary zone. So I don't understand of delay. And again, I'm the only one here that's been pushing for transparency as not only a resident, but a trustee for the last 4 years, nonstop. And this board is not transparent. Like I said, the illegal destruction of video public records. Everybody should be outraged about that. They're essentially taking a
Mr. Evans, your
shredder
3 minutes is
to
up.
records.
That's not true. Stop trying to ram up stuff that's not even true, just to get people all excited, and stop that. You're good at that. But I think the people are catching on that you're not truthful. Mr. Evans, since you talk about Mr. Arnold, why don't you have him come in, since you took on the project of the solar wind farm? Why don't you set up a time for him to come and speak at our next meeting? I think that's something we should
The
do.
18th, are you gonna not cancel it?
I'm sorry?
The
I said our
18th
next meeting.
is the 18th, because you canceled the other ones.
Mr. Evans, I'm just asking you, would you be,
So is it the 18th,
the next meeting that we're gonna have?
which is the 18th? I'm trying to get you to verify that you're not gonna cancel it. You canceled the 4th,
That's not what we're here to
And then-
discuss, Mr. Evans.
right, well, I'm trying to get from you the date of the
I'm
meeting, which is
asking
the
you-
18th, is our next regularly scheduled meeting. So if you can
The
confirm that
next
you
meeting is
you
the
will not
18th.
cancel it, I
Well,
will request it.
Mr. Evans, again, I'm gonna ask you if you would be willing to get Mr. Arnold here to speak publicly, since you said
On
he's
the
a welcome.
18th.
That's our next meeting, the 18th, that's
Okay.
correct. That's correct.
Okay, if his schedule's available, yes. If not,
Okay.
we can
Well,
talk
just let
about
us
another
know.
meeting.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Mr. Johnson, do you have any comments? No. I don't either. So, I would just make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call, Ms. Perry?
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. And the time? 7:20. I'll take that.
You know,